This episode of the Cloud Accounting Podcast is sponsored by LivePlan. Did you know that millions of small businesses use LivePlan products to start their business? Did you know that these small businesses prefer a cloud-based accounting solution 2 times more versus a desktop solution? Did you know that 89% of these small business owners prefer virtual advisory services? Did you know that the number one thing they want from an expert advisor is strategic planning and review? This is even more than general ledger accounting and bookkeeping services. Did you know that LivePlan has an expert advisory directory that you can join to gain access to these millions of small businesses? To learn more about becoming a LivePlan expert advisor, head over to cloudaccountingpodcast.promo/LivePlan. That is cloudaccountingpodcast.promo/LIVEPLAN.
Welcome to the Cloud Accounting Podcast. I'm Blake Oliver.
And I'm David Leary.
And I'm Jamie McDonald. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Hubdoc, along with the other Jamie, as we're known, the Jamies, and now the executive general manager of product for the core accounting platform at Xero.
And so since it's an audio podcast and there's 2 Jamies, can you say which Jamie you are so people are clear?
That's a good point. I'm Jamie McDonald, the Jamie M, the product Jamie.
And you're the tall one?
The tall Jamie,
tall one, okay.
Old Jamie, grumpy Jamie, all of the unpleasant names for Jamie.
So I was so excited to see when you not only the Hubdoc acquisition, the Xero Hubdoc acquisition, congratulations, but also now that you're doing product for Xero. So like, was that part of the deal? How did that come to be?
Yeah, there's like a major promotion. I mean, you got promoted when there's a press release about it.
Yeah.
I guess the first thing to say is thank you. So how did it come to be? I mean, I kind of think I was meant to do this job, and I've been training for it for the last 5 years, from when I chased you guys down when we entered the space in 2014. I've been spending my whole time thinking about how to build the small business ERP on top of the QuickBooks platform or the Xero platform, and now being part of the Xero family. I mean, you guys know Hubdoc, the whole core point of the application is data automation and building a collaboration platform between accountants and bookkeepers and the small businesses they serve. And it's just a logical extension of the work I've been doing with the product and engineering team at Hubdoc. I just feel so lucky to get to work with some of the designers and engineers who have built Xero, which is a product I love so much. And we're going to build some good stuff.
Well, can you give us a sneak peek?
I think I did yesterday. I mean, the roadmap story is pretty clear. I think we want to build more data automation into the platform. And then I gave that find and recode example yesterday. It's a simple feature that saves people a boatload of time at the end of every month correcting errors. And it's like, how do we just do that 10 times and make the core application just really, really powerful? And then all the stuff that Craig talked about and Nick this morning about the platform, those are like our big bets on the future of business record keeping. And I think just super duper exciting.
So how is because we do have some developers and app developers that listen to the podcast, how has this journey been of being acquired?
What we always say is like everything in life starts with people, right? And Jamie and I are big on our relationships with our team and our customers. And the values that we've blogged about at Hubdoc are around just building authentic human relationships, being transparent, giving a shit, kind of a sense of craftsmanship around product, and delivering amazing experiences for our team so that they say, this is the best place I ever worked 5 years from now, right? And I think what's been great about joining Xero is just a giant overlap in values and culture and the focus on being human and authentic. So that's been great. Working on a platform where, 1.8 million customers are going to be using the stuff that I collaborate on building. That's pretty amazing. So I think the work that we are doing, there's another decade of SMB cloud adoption ahead of us, and I just feel lucky to do it. There's stuff about being acquired that's different, and I'm learning to operate in a bigger company again. I've done that.
Where were you before Hubdoc?
I was at Expedia back in the early 1.0 days of the internet. So I saw a company kind of explode in scale and hiring crazy and kind of winning in the market. And that was like that early career experience for me that I say, worked with the smartest people, built a product that won in the marketplace, had fun, and just grew a ton professionally. And I think bringing some of those skills, relearning them inside Xero, which is, one of the best SaaS companies in the world. It's tough not to be excited about the opportunity.
So Hubdoc grew up in Toronto.
Yeah, we're in Toronto.
Are you still in Toronto?
I still am in Toronto. So I think we're moving from thinking of ourselves as Hubdogs to thinking of ourselves as Xeros, and Toronto's going to be a big engineering hub for our company on a go-forward basis.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. We also develop software, obviously, in New Zealand, in Auckland, Wellington primarily, and then have a big office in Melbourne. And so I've got teams in Aussie and New Zealand who I work with closely now as well.
Got it. So those time changes are making for some fun meetings.
Let's not talk about the time change, Blake. That's like the one bad part of my life.
Yep, understood. So the big news yesterday was the Stripe partnership. And so for our listeners who couldn't make it to the event, why is that a big deal?
I just think it's pretty obvious and pretty awesome, right? Which is like, when you send an invoice, wouldn't it be great if your customers could pay it? It's like, I joke with Craig, it's like, you built a pay button. What's the big deal? So I think that's awesome. I'm also a Stripe customer at Hubdoc. Mm-hmm. And so if you've ever reconciled revenue inside of Stripe, we've had to use third parties, building all sorts of rules, like making that pain go away. I'll save, 10 hours a month for somebody in our company, which is awesome.
Yep.
And then this recurring monthly invoice that just goes out, and you can set up the payment automatically. Like, it sounds so elementary and obvious, but it's just an example of digitizing analog workflows, getting rid of the paper, getting rid of a check and mail, and making it all happen. And the good news is SMBs get paid faster, which is what we're trying to do.
So how big is Hubdoc these days? Yeah.
What's the definition of big, Blake?
We're
huge.
How many Hubdogs are there?
Yeah.
Whatever numbers you can share in terms of customers, that sort of thing. Because I think people are, if you're a developer, you're kind of interested, and you want to have an exit strategy where, what do I need to get there? And then if you're an accountant, sorry to throw two questions at you, they're wondering what's going to happen to Hubdoc now that, it's a Xero company.
Yeah, for sure. So there's two questions there, which is if I wanted to get acquired as an app developer, what would I do? I think the Hubdoc formula was kind of stolen from David Leary, and I teased him about sushi lunch 5 years ago in Toronto when David came and visited us, and he showed up, which is really, it sounds stupid, but we showed up at the Twitter chats, we showed up at the trade shows, we talked to people and we listened, and then we went back to our office and we built software for them, and we said, does this work for you? And then by building that community of advocates that we're solving problems for, they told Intuit and Xero and Bill.com that we existed and were important to them. And that's how we showed relevance. And then you drive your API connections up, which means that you're growing on the platform and people notice that, right?
And I want to highlight how much you guys really did show up, because the two Jamies were at every conference and you guys were at the booth yourselves, the founders of the company, talking with people all day long. How did you, takes amazing stamina.
Yeah, I just think it's that's like entrepreneur camp. So we always, I want to say laughed, but remarked on the leaders of other businesses who would show up with their wheelie bag, give a talk for an hour, and then leave the show. We make a point of staying for the whole thing and taking customers out to dinner and meeting with partners and listening, because that was the way we could get better. And the only reason I'm in this job now is because I understand the workflows in the same way that you've gone from being a bookkeeper to a software person. You understand the workflows, right? And that's the only way I can do it.
So I think we have another guest we can bring on. Believe it or not.
Do we have a special?
The other Jamie has arrived. So let's try to get him a headphones here. This episode of the Cloud Accounting Podcast is sponsored by TOA Global. As you know, most firms struggle with attracting, managing, and retaining staff. And finding staff is getting tougher every day. This is where TOA Global can help. TOA Global is the most professional outsourcing partner to help you build and manage a global accounting team. By building a global accounting team, you'll be able to take away the time-consuming process-oriented work from your local team while building a cost-effective team offshore. As people experts, TOA Global can help you select and develop your best team members easily using their expert ecosystem of people, security, technology, and professional development tools. Learn how to build out your world-class team today. Head over to cloudaccountingpodcast.promo/TOA Global. That is cloudaccountingpodcast.promo/TOAGLOBAL.
All right, we're back.
Jamie, the other Jamie, is here. So for our listeners that don't know what you look like, so they can differentiate, please describe yourself.
This is like a dating profile or something?
I'm affectionately known as Jamie S., and I focus on customers, and I think we look quite similar, David.
The nice Jamie?
The
younger Jamie?
No, we're both nice. Okay. Yes, younger by a bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll jump in. This is interesting that now that you're both here, and something went off for me. I was at another conference yesterday. It's all getting gray now. Recently, I was at a conference. And because Hubdoc always was, you guys were the fetchers. Like, you fetch documents all over the internet, right? And something, two comments from two different bookkeepers, they're kind of getting sick of fetching because security, the logins, like fetchings get difficult. And they're finding I'm just going to ask my client for the paper bank statements because I can control that process. Can you guys kind of speak to the evolution of fetching? I would argue you two might be the experts on fetching.
Yeah, I think we can definitely claim to be people who have worked on the problem for a long time. I don't know that there's anybody who could be called an expert in fetching, except for maybe the people who go after Ticketmaster on the day that Rihanna starts a concert sale. So I just say the message we give to our customers is the nature of our technology is such that it doesn't work all the time. Websites change. There's two-factor authentication from banks. But the feedback that we get from our customers is, at the reliability levels that you deliver on, it works for us. It's maddening when it breaks. It's exactly like a bank feed breaking inside QBO or inside of Xero. It's like, wow, this is frustrating. I want to do my job right now. But the idea of not having a bank feed is so horrible that you would never go back to that prior universe. So I think people want the documents that we get for them and find value in them. And I think reliability is a constant battle for us, and we're spending more and more money on how to scale that infrastructure. And we don't have all the answers. It might not work, but one thing we are always is kind of transparent to our customers about the challenges with the technology and the reliability of the service. So we tell the truth about here's what to expect. And some people will find it easier to ask their clients to get the documents themselves. But if you got more than 20 clients and each of them has 4 or 5 banks, it gets time consuming.
David, I was at Scaling New Heights with you in Salt Lake City there, and I talked with a lot of our customers, the accountants and bookkeepers, about this topic. And hearing Jamie mention bank feeds, it's interesting. They're connected bank feeds and the fetching of the documents, because one of the reasons we hear from customers, how we have historically and still today, is of why they still very much want the bank statements in North America, checks as well with the bank statements, is because of the lack of reliability on the feeds. So perhaps there'll be a day in the future where bank feeds will actually come in and be totally reliable and accurate with no duplicates or omissions. And then maybe the bank statement need will go down. But right now, more than as much as ever, we hear people still wanting them. So despite, as Jamie said, that the ability to get them isn't what one would maybe want in terms of 100% getting the documents, the right ones at the right time, even when it's less, it's still much better than having to go do that all themselves manually.
Across the board, because not every feed you have is going to all break at the same time. Yeah. It's odd bank here. And I think us insiders, if you want to say this, we get it. It's the bank's fault. It's somebody else's fault. It's not Hubdoc's fault that a feed didn't work. But I think the frustration for a lot of accountants and bookkeepers is, two-factor authentication, this breaks. They have to go back to the client. I need your new password. Or they're forcing you to, what was your favorite pet's name? And you got to do all that dance. And you look as an accountant or bookkeeper kind of scattered to your client. And so that some of them are kind of reconsidering, why don't you just give me paper?
You know what I see this as is a part of a bigger problem, which is probably the greatest challenge, I think, for cloud adoption in accounting is it's not 100% reliable. The way that getting that used to get that paper
Don't
bank
say that, because now we're going to get. You can't say cloud is not 100% reliable, because now the desktop people are going to come after us. We told you, Leary.
Stuff breaks, right? These connections break. Integrations break all the time. right? And you got to go figure out what went wrong and how to fix it. And that's frustrating for people who like consistency, where it's the same every month. But that was my biggest challenge early on, at least. Maybe it's gotten better now. But 10 years ago, when this whole thing was really new, I was dealing with apps changing all the time and APIs breaking, and
Yeah, I think part of it is the nature of software development, which platforms ship new features, things change. And then, like I use the language, we're building the small business ERP that's connected by API, right? And 700 apps on the Xero ecosystem who are pumping in data to that platform. And I'm proud of the reliability of that. Like, it generally works, yes. Right? And it's so much better than the universe we existed in before.
Right.
It is an enterprise software that's 9 nines or whatever it is, and bulletproof. It's but I would just encourage people listening to give it a shot. It works pretty darn well.
Yeah.
So I think Xero there's 6 banks in Australia. There's 6 banks in Canada, and you can work really closely and have deep API relationships with all of them, right? Do you see the opportunity because there's 10,000, 20,000 banks here in the States, right?
It's not that many, is it?
Okay.
It's like 3,000.
It's ridiculous.
It's still a lot, right?
It's a lot.
You probably know how many there are.
It's thousands.
I mean, it's the opportunity for 2 or 3 banks to really pay attention to small businesses, pay attention to accountants, pay attention to technology, and they could actually just steal all small business because they become the reliable bank.
I'll take a crack at that one. I mean, I'm excited about our relationships with some of the big banks in North America, both Canada and the U.S., and our opportunity to get direct feeds from them. But like you said, getting an API relationship with everybody, it'll take forever. We've opened up a banking API, which I think is pretty innovative and cool, so that the neobanks, and we made an announcement today about Novo publishing to our API, and there's a couple others in the pipe that are exciting. And they're going to go to the accounting and bookkeeping community and to small businesses and say, hey, we've built a feed that works reliably, that's enhanced, that's a different way of doing small business banking. And it'll be a tough sell at the beginning, but you look at what Monzo's done in the UK in terms of scaling their base, and I'm kind of bullish on that opportunity for our ecosystem because it'll make the whole banking industry get better. And then the second answer to your question is, I mean, we hear all the time from accountants and bookkeepers that, yeah, my clients ask me to recommend a bank, and I say, let's go with these guys because the feeds work pretty well, and Hubdoc works well with them, type of thing, right? So maybe there is an opportunity, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think I've talked to accountants and bookkeepers who are like, I move every client to this bank because of this, and it's usually bank feeds, fetching, it's reliability.
Yeah. An interesting observation, this is a little bit different, but on the topic of the fetching of the bank statements, early on when we started, that was the big wow moment. People said, wow, it's magical that if we just have the credentials of our clients, we can magically just have these bank statements. I found in the last couple of conferences where I really get a chance to talk to hundreds of customers and prospects, including the Scaling New Heights one and the one here, is that the new wow moment I think I'm hearing more of is the machine learning piece of our product, which isn't bank statements, but it's the pulling in of the transactional documents, the bills, receipts, et cetera. And the machine learning wow is something that we're hearing more of. So it's just interesting. Now we've got these 2 wow moments. One we're probably more challenged with on the fetching of documents, but the machine learning extracting documents, I'm hearing more about that being a wow, which is nice because it helps offset some of the challenges we're having.
Yeah, the pain shifted. The fetching is now the pain, but what you do with them once you get them is the wow. Yeah.
I was joking with David before the pod and taking a picture of this microphone. Like, I can post the achievement unlocked moment for Jamie and I. We've finally made it onto the Cloud Accounting podcast.
It's been an amazing year.
Like, what else is to be done? I'm sending a photo to my wife and just running a victory lap. So thanks for having us on the show.
Thank you. And if people want to reach you online, and find out what you're up to, where should they do that?
Jamie S. at Hubdoc.com. On Twitter, I'm just Jamie Shulman, my name.
Yeah, on Twitter, I'm at Jamie McDonald. So easiest place to find me, and would love to hear from the people listening to the show.
All right, wonderful. And
I was just going to I want to just reiterate what Jamie said, because maybe it sounds a little crazy, but we've been at this together and we've been working with the 2 of you for years now, and it's great to see the acceleration and what you guys have done with this. It's impressive.
Well, just think where we've come in 10 years and where we are going in 10 years. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, there's going to be a great decade ahead of us. So,
all right. Well, on that note,
thanks.
We can sign off.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.
This episode of the Cloud Accounting Podcast is sponsored by Halon Tax. As a new business owner and first-time tax filer, I needed a peace of mind knowing that my S-Corp return was done correctly. I signed up for Halon Tax, connected to my QuickBooks Online, filled out about 4 fields in a wizard, clarified 2 small items with the Halon Tax team. A few days later, I got a text telling me my return was finished. I launched Halon Tax and e-signed my return. The whole end-to-end process was painless and, frankly, kind of amazing. Now, Halon Tax is working with bookkeepers and accountants like yourself to offer the same amazing experience to your small business clients. They're even offering a 1-year free trial to all your clients. This even includes your own dedicated tax CPA. To learn more about this exciting offer from Halon Tax, head over to cloudaccountingpodcast.promo/Halon Tax. That is cloudaccountingpodcast.promo/HALONTAX.